Alright guys, so we have a G22 here. Not sure of the year yet, I didn't run the serial number. So we're going to turn the steering wheel. So from the seat perspective, it is basically straight. See, that tire there is sort of lined up. Alignment's off. Look at this one here. Look down the front of it. You can see it is turned way to the left. This one's not so bad. So the customer called me up and said, we have an issue with the cart. I think we need an alignment. Well, I just got the cart. After looking at it here, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. Let me see if I can get under here with you. Here is the tie rod end, okay? This is basically the tie rod end on steering knuckle. Okay, you can see how nice and perpendicular to the steering knuckle it is, right? So if we'll expose a little bit here. See how nice and perpendicular it is, right? Come over onto this side, and we see this one's twisted and bent. So that tells me this was involved in a front-end collision, or somebody backed into it with another cart or a vehicle of some sort and bent that arm right there. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about this arm here that the tie rod end is bolted to. So we got to get that cotter pin out, get that tie rod end out, take the tire off, and I'm hoping that all we need to do is heat it up and straighten it out. I'm thinking that's all we're going to need, and that should pretty much fix it as long as there's no other damage. So let's get to it. Let's get it right underneath the frame. It's the safest place to jack the front of the cart up if you want both front tires off the ground. Now they're going to start beeping at me because it's still in run. It's an electric, it's a 48 volt. We're going to make this thing very, very easy to work on by jacking it all the way up. Probably can hear the groan from the charger. Over a little bit here. Tire's a little low too. So you can see this arm here is bent. And it looks like it's not any longer lined up like it's supposed to be, so we might have to take all this apart and straighten it out. It didn't crack or bend the steering knuckle, so that's a good thing, because sometimes that happens. Like all this stuff in here will get bent up, and then like anything in here is cracked, and we got to replace the steering knuckle. But it looks like we're okay. It looks like it's just this tie rod and bracket here. We'll just take this whole bracket off, and I'll heat it and then put it in the vise, and then kind of blacksmith it a little bit and get it flat. And then we should be good to go. Put it back on, probably give it a shot of paint just to keep it from, just keep the metal from getting all nasty and gnarly. So let's get it apart. I'm going to take these two bolts out here and the tie rod end off. Let's get these. Out of the way. They should come right out. Okay. Now we'll so you can kind of see maybe front end's a bit loose up here, so maybe if we try to just tighten up this kingpin bolt here, sometimes that tightens them up, hopefully. But again, if we got to get parts for it, we'll get parts for it. Use my Milwaukee impact. Not sponsored by Milwaukee, but I really do like their tools, especially this impact gun. Use the M18 High Demand 9.0 battery. It's an M18 brushless fuel 1/2-inch impact driver. This one beats my air impact driver. Like, it's scary how much better this is than my air impact driver. I have an Ingersoll Rand half drive. Okay. But this just makes it much more convenient. Okay, that's gonna be bigger. Let's see. See, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to beat the hell out of it to get it apart. There's still a good amount of, there's no play in that tie rod end, so we're not going to change it. Hopefully you can see this. See how, that's supposed to be a perfectly flat piece. Alright guys, it's been a couple of days. We've had some pretty crappy weather lately, so it's been tough, and I'm still in the process of getting the garage sorted out, so it's taken me a little longer to get back into it. I sold the trailer, my enclosed trailer, which had all my tools, so I had to put everything in here, which basically is taking up the entire garage. So that process has been long, to say the least. But here's the bracket that we basically heated, flattened out as best I could, and then I painted it with a coat of high gloss paint. It's not great, but it's better than what it was originally, so now we can get it installed and get this cart back together. And these bolts here have got some gnarly threads on the end, so it is a little harder to get these started than normal, so I'm going to try to like rotate the bolt and let it catch on the nut. Sorry about the wind noise. It is a breezy day today. Okay. That feels chunky for some reason. For some reason. Take into account that this cart has been pretty well beat up on. Tight. I'll tighten these up, and then we'll be good to go. Nice. Yeah, that's always not good. Good thing I have extras. Okay, it's not an exact replacement, but it is exactly the same size, just a little longer. And it's a nylock nut. Okay, so it's good, it'll work. I mean, it's definitely a little better than what was there, to be honest. Now, you can see I'm having a bit of a struggle getting that cotter pin out. Steering is going to be a lot tighter now, so I need 3 cotter pins, since this 4th one does not have one. But that nut could have been damaged when they, you know, shillelied it into whatever they hit. And I have these cotter pin assortment kits. And what I typically like to do is I like to grab one side, go one way, grab the other side and go the other way. See, I like the short, fat ones, but they don't always fit when you need them to. So I go with these other ones here. And basically the cotter pin is only there to keep the nut from falling off. That's its main purpose. I'll even grab these, kind of squeeze them towards the inside so they can't rotate or anything. It's just what I do. Some guys like to grab them both pins and wrap them around one way. But I don't. I like to wrap them 2 different directions so that if one breaks, I mean, it's still going to hold. Okay, cotter pins are in. You notice I'm not wearing gloves on this particular job. No grease. See how the lug nut is not sitting perfectly inside the hole for the wheel? This seems to be an issue with just mostly these carts, but this is something that you gotta really pay attention to when you're putting the wheels on golf carts, period, because they don't have a hub-centric ring in here. There's no hub-centric ring, so because of that issue, you have to make sure that when you tighten these lug nuts down, that they seat the curve side here. Let me show you. You see this curve side. Every lug nut has a curve side and a flat side. The flat side goes out. The curve side always faces in towards the wheel because it's supposed to sit on the seat where that stud comes through. And that's what keeps your wheel centered on the hub. And again, like if you don't, you'll see how that's kind of got a, well, it's not really tight, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on the video. It's very subtle. Okay, see, now it's just, because it's rotating, it's slowly dropped. Let me see if we can do this with the camera in my hand. Okay, now you can see how that's seated. See how that's right in there? It's seated almost perfectly. It'll be better once I tighten it down, but now that one lined up. But if it's not centered properly, you're gonna get a really terrible wobble, and it's gonna bounce when it's driving. That's very uncomfortable. And the way to remedy that is just to loosen them up, all 4 of them, and then get them lined up and then reef them tight again. Okay, here is with our bending of that bracket. I mean, you can see, hopefully you can see with the sun, it is still pretty far out. I mean, it's still towed out quite a bit, but not nearly as far as it was. Steering wheel straight, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, steering wheel straight. You can see this tire here is towed in just a little, so the alignment is off quite a bit. This is the bracket we just fixed. And here's the tie rod. I just cracked this loose before I put the camera under here because I didn't want to hit the camera with the wrench. And again, we have to do this on the ground so we can get somewhat of an accurate reading. And again, it's a golf cart. It doesn't need to be Jahunga perfect, but we do want to try to get as close as we can so we have smooth operation. Okay, as you turn it, I can feel the tire toeing back in. And hopefully not the... I gotta go quite a bit with this because it's way out. Steering wheel is not turning. I'm actually watching the pitman arm. Okay. We're almost there, guys. We just got a few more. A couple of half turns here. I think somebody tried to adjust this and didn't know what the hell they were doing because that tie rod was all the way in. The steering wheel moved a little bit, so we'll grab it. Alright, we'll do just a few more turns. I think we'll have it here. Okay, this ought to do it. Well, it seems like a lot, but it was out quite a bit. There we go. Okay. Alignment is complete. So now what I'll do is I will tighten this down. And it's just a jam nut, so it don't need to be... You don't have to go crazy with it. Alright. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see this without being too blown out, but you can see right down the side of the cart. Now our front tire is good. Steering wheel is straight. This tire is good. I got a good alignment. Now it should track normally down the road. Okay, job done. On to the next one. Oh wait, we got to put air in the tire, but I'm not going to film that because you guys have seen me put air in tires before. It's nothing really exciting. All right, guys,